It doesn't really taste that much. No, I'm joking. It tastes so much.
People like this?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Culture Shocks podcast, brought to you by me, Stefan, and
me, Fredrik.
So welcome. For those of you that are watching this podcast, you might know me from my YouTube channel, Stefan Tyrone. Mm-hmm. It's the name of my channel. I know, so creative. Just having my name.
You probably don't know who I am, but I'm Stefan's friend.
Yeah, Fredrik and I, we've been through a ton of stuff together. We used to live together, and he has lived in America, right?
Yeah.
Where in America did you live?
First San Antonio, Texas, and then New York City.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Southern influence, and
yeah,
my favorite city in the world, New York.
Yeah,
so,
same here.
Yeah.
Great city. I wouldn't really say New York is America, but New York is New York, you know? But
yeah.
Texas, that is America.
Texas, yeah. Texas is really, they have a full-on American spirit.
That's like, Texas is like, it's just Texas, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I guess you need to... If you know, you know, you know?
Definitely. So in this podcast, the idea is I moved to Sweden 3.5 years ago, and on my YouTube channel, I've been documenting my experiences moving from America, a lot of the cultural differences, because there are a lot of differences between America and Sweden, even though we have a lot in common. It's the differences that are very, very interesting to talk about, and a lot of people have found those differences interesting to watch and hear about on my channel. So what we wanted to do was create a forum and create this channel/podcast that we could discuss things in a little bit more depth, because on my YouTube channel, it would sort of be like hit you with the main points and try to get a video done in 5 to 10 minutes that you guys could get the short thing, but you don't really get to see sort of the informal side or being able to discuss these ideas a little bit more deeply with somebody. So bringing Fredrik in is a great way to really have that experience of somebody that's also lived in both America and Sweden and talk about these things in a little bit more depth. Yeah. Which brings us to the topic of our first episode today. Which is things that Swedish people love that nobody else does. Yeah.
What a start.
That is, yeah. This was something that was hard to come up with.
We took some time to like think about our own, just our own things, like what we think are things that only Swedish people do. But obviously, some of the things would be like Nordic things, or I mean, obviously, maybe you've done it and you're not Swedish, but I feel like this is typical Swedish.
Definitely.
And it's gonna be interesting to see like what you say as obviously an American and been in Sweden for 3 years, and me who grew up here. Like, are a lot of them different? And I could only come up with like 9 or 10 things, actually.
Yeah. I wrote down my top 10, so neither of us knows the other person's list. Yeah. So we're going to get some live reactions to what we think.
It's going to be so interesting.
Exactly. And actually, maybe another future episode, we should do things that Americans love that everybody else thinks is weird.
Big Macs.
Definitely. All right, so I'll go first.
Right.
I'll consult my list here. The first one I have is that Swedish people, I would say, they don't like to protest. They sort of just comply with the rules. They're really good at like negotiating.
See, the first thing I think about is Greta Thunberg, dude.
Yeah. Well, okay. Just because you can come up with one really good counterexample, doesn't mean
I wouldn't say
the new generation.
I wouldn't say it's Swedish to protest. No, absolutely not. I think that we were really early in progressing with like unions and stuff, which is a way of protesting, I guess. But you definitely see more like outspoken protests in, for instance, America.
I think there's a lot of like rules in Sweden that like Americans wouldn't necessarily like. Yeah. Like America likes to have this like individual mentality. Like, for example, in Sweden, you cannot buy liquor from the liquor store on Sundays. I feel like Americans would be like, don't tell me when I can buy. Like, and Swedes are like, oh, it's for the good of everybody. And, you know, Swedish people put a lot of trust in, like, their institutions and their government. And
like, there's a thought behind it, kind
of thing. Exactly. And the Swedes are like, they know what's best for us, and we can sort of go along with it. Whereas I think in America, a lot more people would, like, complain about certain things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in America, they exchange complain with, like, the freedom of speech and like my rights and so etc. Like in Texas, like there would be open carries, which basically means you exercise the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. So there would be people walking around with like AK-47s, like not even joking, like rifles.
Jesus.
Yeah, in like a mall, and people would be like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
They're like out in the street, like you would be in your truck or whatever, and you would see someone with a gun. You're like, "Oh Jesus, this is like a shooting going on. What's happening?" And a lot of times, like the cops would pull up, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just exercising my Second Amendment rights." And that would never happen in Sweden because like it wouldn't really make sense. But it's an interesting like difference between.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that brings me to my first point, which is not at all as serious.
Okay.
But it is something in Swedish called lösgodis.
Lösgodis.
Yes, which is candy.
Yeah.
But we don't buy, a certain kind of candy only. We have, I guess you can call it pick and mix.
Yeah.
So you have like an empty bag and you just pick yourself.
Yeah.
Like any flavor you want, and we from we're really young,
Yeah.
put it in the same little bag, and then you weigh it and you pay for only the stuff that you want. So we get a lot of different candies, and recent studies show that we eat the most candy in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
And somehow they still stay in shape, which I do not understand. And I think this is something that we have in America, like with bulk candy. At some stores, like the candies are different prices, so you have to have separate bags for the different candies that you want, I guess. But I'm sure we have the same concept here in what we have in Sweden. You can probably do in America as well. But like you said, nobody loves this. Like the Swedes.
Yeah.
Even Swedish people that go abroad, vloggers, I'm thinking of Jan Olsen, for example. Yeah. And even if he's in Spain, they go to a Swedish candy store or something.
Like IKEA usually has it. Yeah.
Yeah, they just love this bulk candy.
Yeah. I remember realizing that they don't have this abroad, and I think we were in Spain or something. We were gonna go to the store and just get some candy for the night, on vacation, and then realizing that where's the candy, actual candy, where's the shit, basically.
Exactly.
Because you went on pick and mix. So I think that's something that's deep in the bone marrow of Swedes, basically.
Well, this is a perfect transition into my next one, because my next one is one of the types of candy that you can get in this bag.
I had to say the second one.
And this is, I actually grouped this together with as two different things that Swedish like. Both are things that Swedish people like to eat. The first one you saw in the intro. That was the Kalles caviar.
Yeah.
Okay, that is this weird fishy egg type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody else in the world that likes that the way Swedish people do.
They had a famous commercial here in Sweden with they were on the streets of New York and giving them samples of this. Yeah. And it's so good, right? And everyone was no, this is terrible.
Yeah, giving Americans.
And they're Kalles caviar for Swedes only. You know.
Yeah, it's good.
And it was a good, campaign.
But the second food that I was going to mention was the salty licorice.
Yeah.
Which is it's not something that I think most Americans would like or enjoy.
No, it's a strange candy actually. Yeah. I didn't like it at first, but after a while I started liking it, and it doesn't have the candy vibe. It's not even close to chocolate and all this.
It's definitely an acquired taste, because I remember when I first had it in my first few months in Sweden when I was here, and I thought it was extremely disgusting.
Yeah.
And now it's like tolerable, and I, on a rare occasion, might actually have a craving for it. And that's just in I guess 3 years.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of things you get used to it, obviously.
Yeah.
That was also my number 2. So my number 3 would be also something you eat, skagenröra.
Skagenröra.
It's so good. Yeah. If you haven't had it, Google it, try it. Yeah. It's amazing. So it's like a shrimp, mayonnaise, lemon mix.
Yeah, and you can put it on a sandwich.
Yeah, you put it on a sandwich with lemon and preferably some champagne. Yeah. but
actually no, we used to eat this all the time when we'd be out hanging around town or whatever, and we'd go to the store and get some skagenröra and some toast. And I actually really enjoyed it. Although it's weird because the ones we would buy when we were at your place I really liked, but sometimes the really fancy ones that you get at a restaurant, they have even more of a fishy taste, I guess. It's
I guess the shrimp are more dominant.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I almost like the cheaper one more than the more expensive one.
Kind of a cheap guy. So.
It's when it comes to skagenröra,
I'm a cheap bastard when it comes to skagen. But try it. Honestly, try it. It's so good.
Okay, my next one that Swedish people love that other people don't is being naked. I would say this is not only Sweden, but I would say at least compared to like people from America or England or a lot of these other English-speaking countries, that's one of the first things that I would say these people notice. Like when you go to the sauna and somebody walks in and like everybody's naked.
Butt-ass naked, yeah.
Or I noticed like, well, actually I missed a midsummer party my first year because I came like a few days after midsummer.
Rookie mistake.
But I remember FaceTiming people at the midsummer party, and everybody was like running around naked and all these things, and like, and even like I remember days of like going in the sauna with like a big group of friends, and then like jumping into the ocean after, and then people weren't afraid to just whip it all off and run into the ocean, and this is something that Americans would be a lot more hesitant to do.
Maybe like at the midsummer's party, alcohol could have a part in just that particular incident, but I think I've been in the sauna since I was a small kid, and it's just a part of the culture. And you know, my dad said once that he's like, the great thing about sauna is that like the middle school janitor and the surgeon are the same in there. Like we always spark conversation in the sauna because we're all like good conversation because we're all equals. You know, like there's no like fancy clothes or watches. We're all just naked having a conversation, which is really important.
So if you think Swedes are too quiet, you're saying just get naked.
Just get naked, bro. Just take it off and then just go nuts.
So if you're at the bus stop and you're like, why is everybody so shy? And
just go nuts. Start stripping. Well, the heat would also help probably, but I think that was a really interesting aspect of it. Like it sort of neutralizes the situation and allows for better convo. Sauna is obviously Finnish, but we do it heaps here as well. For sure. That's a good one. That's a good point. Being naked. Another obvious one, which I'm not sure is Sweden alone, is surströmming.
Okay, I had that one on my list as well. Yeah.
Surströmming, it's how do you explain it? How do you?
I think it is like fermented Baltic herring is the correct term. I don't even like herring on its own.
So fermented.
So when you like fermented, then it's like really next level. And we actually tried it on my main YouTube channel. You were in that video.
Oh, that was rough.
You didn't handle that too well. If you go to the very end of the video, I think you're throwing up. I handled it better than most of the Swedes in the video.
You did.
I remember Gustav had a really rough time with that. You had a rough time with that.
It's just a smell when you open, like that's the thing, because I mean everybody that does the challenge that we did, they supposedly eat it and treat it the wrong way. Like you're not supposed to just open the can because then it's gonna smell. Like apparently you're supposed to open it underwater and then like rinse it a lot and like eat it with certain things, and it's supposed to be a lot better than when we did it. But it definitely smells terrible.
And we tried to do it the right way. I mean, we prepared like the sandwich with the potatoes, the sour cream.
But we just opened the can and just put it right in there.
That's true. It was very, very overpowering. And I think it's also mostly people in like the north of Sweden that like this the most. So, like most people from Stockholm that I talked to, a lot of them haven't even tried it. Yeah.
There's this island right outside of the high coast, which is the middle of Sweden basically. Not Åland, no. That's further down. Okay. This is way up.
Okay.
And it's an island called Ulvön, and it's famous for their herring, fermented herring, and they have like a museum and this whole culture around it. So I'm sure if we went there and ordered fermented herring, like or surströmming, we would enjoy it.
Is this one of these foods that like if you're annoyed by the people sitting at the table next to you, or maybe it's like maybe like with the pandemic you just want some extra space? Crack open a thing of surströmming and you don't have to worry about anybody getting near you. I've heard it's actually illegal to open a can of surströmming like in a public place.
Public setting.
Like you can't go to an airport and open a can of surströmming. I think it's actually illegal because of the smell.
Like mid-Atlantic.
Imagine opening one of those on a plane. Oh,
that's probably
that would be rough.
All right.
My next one is related to eating, but it's not a specific food. This is something that I noticed with my first girlfriend in Sweden that I was dating. I'd be cooking, and then I was done cooking and served the food and everything, and as soon as we were ready to eat, she turned all the lights off and just lit a candle. I was like, it's pitch dark in here. I was like, I can't even see me. I can't see my food. I want to be able to see what I'm eating. But she's like, oh, it's so cozy. And I would say that's my point, is that Swedish people, they love the cozy vibes, especially like around mealtime. They want to just light some candles and have all the lights in the apartment off. And I don't know anybody that loves that as much as Swedish people. I was like, what the hell, girl? I'm just trying to see my dang food so I can enjoy it. Like,
I just want to see who I'm having foods with.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I like to turn lights off with candles. Absolutely. I think it has it serves a purpose. Because it sets the mood kind of, and I definitely prefer that to having like all the lights up.
Bright light, I can understand, like you do want a little bit dimmer to like set the mood and stuff. Shout out to my dimmer switches up here.
Let's go. Yeah. But it's interesting because restaurants in Italy, for instance, they are pretty often, well, this was my experience from being there 2 years ago. It's just like we were at a dinner restaurant and the lighting was like, I wouldn't say it's really bright, but it's not dark either. It's like somewhere in between. There's a lot of lights going on, and it's not. I would imagine like like a cozy Italian dinner, like they turn the lights off, candles. No, it was like the whole room was well lit, and it was just like that was our experience for many dinners there. So. Yeah,
I like the cozy vibes. Like, there's one like new restaurant here in Stockholm. It's sort of like a Chipotle. It's more of like they focus more on like to-go burritos, basically.
Which one?
It's called Cosito. Right in Odenplan there. And the thing is that their lights are extremely bright in the restaurant. But I think they do that by design because they don't want people to come in there and sit in there during the pandemic. I think they just want people to like order on Uber Eats and this sort of thing, because you can tell that like if a restaurant in Sweden's trying to attract customers, they're really into like trying to get this cozy vibe and darker
hipster vibe almost.
But I would say like the default setting, like of course we like the cozy vibes in America, but I think the default setting in Sweden for that is just even a little bit darker, I'd say.
That's a pretty good segue to like what you said about not eating at the restaurants and everything, because I would say Swedes are really good at social distancing without a pandemic going on.
Yeah, that's true. They like that.
I don't really know like another country where it's as common because at the bus, for instance, right? Unless it's like packed. Because when it's packed, then we sit next to each other on like a pair of seats. But when it's not packed, like people spread out like a lot. Like until like the train we used to take, it was like Banan. There would be like these fours, and then everyone would take one seat in a four. Until all the fours were out, and then you would start. Oh shit!
Yeah, exactly. And like when there's all the groups of four have two sitting diagonally across. When you walk, and then like everybody's like, "Don't pick me! Don't pick me! Don't pick me!" And then you're like, "Oh, what poor soul do I have to crush there?"
Dude, that's so true. And every time you do it, you just feel how bothered they are. How they like just take
like,
the things.
Why did you pick me?
And they look a little bit, and then especially now when this pandemic, they're like,
Well,
I think that's
some people don't understand the culture, man. I took a bus ride like a couple of weeks ago, and there was on the sides of the bus there's like a group of like 3 seats. So what people normally do is you have one person sitting on one of the end seats and one person sitting on the other one of the end seats. But there was this Asian lady. She was speaking some language that I don't know, and she was sitting in the middle seat, and both of the end ones were open. So I don't think she really got the picture. And there was literally like 3 or 4 guys standing up, looking at her like disapprovingly, and she just had no idea what was going on. And then I go, screw this. I want to sit down. So I just sat right next to her. Boom. And she looked very surprised.
Like, that's what's up, girl.
And all the Swedes,
I'm going to do it.
All the Swedes were like, oh my God, he just sat next to her. And I was like, well, if you're going to sit in the middle seat, like, there's 3 seats here. What am I supposed to do?
Girl. You had it coming.
You had it coming.
I was sitting in the middle seat.
Yeah. But I don't think had both of the end seats been taken, I wouldn't have like
sat. I wouldn't have. Because that is a game changer. When somebody squeezes in between, you're like, oh my God, this guy, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But social distancing, we're good at that here.
My next point was something that we sort of touched on a little bit, and that was that planning your drinking in advance because the liquor store is closed at different times and stuff.
Yeah. That's true. We have that idea.
I'm gonna switch gears to a different one then, and this is that Swedish people love not using cash. Compared to every country in the world, I've been to, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 countries now in my life, and I've never been to a country that loves using only card, like having no cash as much as Sweden. Like they have apps on their phones where you can send money via your phone number, basically, and
like Venmo, but
exactly, it's like Venmo in America. It's called Swish here, but the thing is that Swish is partnered with all of the banks in Sweden, so everybody has access to it. And I think it's like over 50% of the population has Swish. Definitely. So it's got really, really good like market penetration versus Venmo. There's still like a lot of people I think that don't have it. So it's like so common here to like just send money. And like even after living in Sweden for 3.5 years, I've maybe seen like cash in Sweden like less than 10 times in 3.5 years.
Yeah. Well, I think more than half the stores here do not accept cash anymore.
It's crazy. Most like, restaurants and things, they don't.
I had cash on me like a few weeks ago for some reason, and it took me like 3 weeks to get rid of. Like I was trying to use it, and most places were like no. And cash is not convenient here anymore. It's not king here anymore.
Yeah, and it's so different compared to countries like Germany where you
we need cash.
There's like a $5 minimum if you're gonna buy like a water or something. Like you're not allowed to use card. You have to use cash if it's under like $5 because then there's like fees and stuff. So.
And I don't really want to use my credit card in another country because there are fees and stuff on top of it. Yeah. And obviously exchanging cash also incurs fees. But it's just like, I guess, in the back of my head, just like when you go abroad, have that currency in cash.
Yeah, definitely.
But never have cash here. Yeah. So my next point is, I would say it's very Swedish to take every single opinion into account. Yeah. Like here, when we discuss something, let's say we're gonna make a decision about something. Obviously, the CEO or the manager makes a final decision, but it's very common here to really check with everyone and discuss all the points. And it's not very common for the manager to like, even let's say that the majority of people think something else. It's not very common for the manager to be like, no, we're gonna go the other way. They usually hear them and don't really overrule them very often. I get the feeling that, for instance, in America, it's more often more common that you just sort of you're being the manager and making the decisions, not really taking everything into an account. You know?
Everybody sort of just follows the leader.
Exactly.
And working in both American and Swedish schools, I totally noticed the difference because in an American school, the principal goes up to the staff and says, "All right, this is what we're gonna do, and now let's do it." Boom. And in the staff meetings in Sweden, they would be like 10 times longer because we had to get everybody's opinion about every little thing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And we would sit in a circle, and the principal was just one of the people in the circle.
Yeah.
And everybody
Let's hold hands.
and then I was just getting tired at these meetings. I'm like, can somebody just tell me what to do?
I don't want to be boss of my own fate. God damn it.
Well, these meetings were tough. I mean, they were all in Swedish, and that was
for you obviously.
I was maybe really 7 or 8 months in Sweden at that point, so I was like.
Yeah, I get that.
It was a stretch.
But I get the feeling that we have a tendency to discuss things way more and like be more aware of other people's like opinions about things and more worried about them. Honestly, to like even I can feel within my own family sometimes like we before making a decision. Well, not like small decisions like what are we gonna eat tonight, but like
it takes an hour to decide.
Like we're gonna go on a trip or something. Like we wanna take into account like what everyone thinks before making a decision. Not like obviously this is the best decision, so I'm gonna just do this. It's my feeling, right? It's not as common. So it's definitely for good or bad. Like it's for the better and worse. It's good to talk to know that this is the common opinion or this is the common like decision that we want to make like together, but then sometimes it can be really time inefficient.
Yeah.
You know?
There's this one video on YouTube called Swedishness, and one of the clips in this video, it's like all these like stereotypes of Sweden, and it's these Swedes are like in a war zone, like Norway is invading, and there's like 3 Swedes like huddled behind like a pile of rubble, and the leader's like, "What do you guys think? Should we attack?" And they all look at each other. "Oh, I don't know. Let's talk about it." You know? And then they go, "Oh, man, that sounds good." And wait, we need to talk to Malin about it. We haven't had her opinion yet. So while they're getting bombed, you know, they're taking all this stuff. "I think we need to have a group discussion about it." You know, it was just one of these.
Coffee break.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually the perfect segue to my next point, is that Sweden loves to be neutral in world wars.
We just love it. It's a huge turn on, man.
Yeah, I seen one of these American people going around wearing a hat that said "back-to-back World War champs."
Yeah. Oh my god, dude! Those tanks were so common in Texas, like you would not believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not a very Scandinavian, Swedish, or European way of seeing things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a very freshly widely discussed topic. Because we're 10 million people. Back when there was a world war, we were like 6 million.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna add something to the war? Like, the only reason to why we survived the world wars as well as we did is because we were neutral.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. You know.
It sort of like is a good reflection of like Swedish attitudes, though. Like, Swedish people don't like to get involved in conflict as much. So like the nation as a whole, I think it's sort of reflected like the attitudes of the people. They're like, we just want to stay out of it and do our own thing, and let's not get involved.
Yeah, unless we like really have to. And I don't know, I'm not too well read on like our interference in the world wars, like how when the winds were turning, we switched sides. Yeah, sure, fine. Yeah. But like, if I was such a small player in such a big world war, like I'd probably do the same. Not gonna lie. Yeah. And you can't compare us, like for instance America, because America is so much stronger in those aspects. And there's no way to compare. Now the discussion in Sweden is like, should we pay NATO a shit ton of cash every year to be a part of that and be protected under NATO, or should we like just have our own alliances, or should we put more into our defenses? Like, there's a lot of discussion, and to be frank, like, we do not promote war at all in this country. At all. Like,
works for me. I'm not a big war guy myself.
I mean, if you compare to America, like the percentage of GDP that we put into the foreign defenses, like much lower. Yeah, you can't.
A lot of American tax dollars go to the military.
A lot, like ridiculous amounts, which has its own history. So that would bring me to my next point, which it's kind of 2 in 1. It has to do with drinks, and one drink that we have that I haven't seen anywhere else is mead. Mead is beer that hasn't been fermented yet. Yeah, so it's what the Vikings drank, actually. It's something that there's a really early version of beer, I think.
I think I've had that at the Viking bar in Gamla Stan.
In Gamla Stan, in the old city of the old part of town.
They do drink that in like England and stuff.
Yeah, maybe they do. I honestly don't know, but I only had it here, and it's like sort of a Viking thing, and Sweden and Vikings are usually related, and so mead is a thing that I only drink here. It's good. You should try it. It takes a little getting used to, but it's pretty good. You get drunk, it's fine. Okay. It does the job. And then snaps. Snaps is something that we have when we do for Christmas, the julbord, as we say, and for midsummers as well. It's a certain type of liquor that you have next to the cold dishes, and we have songs, and then we
that's true. That's what I would add to that. Swedish people love to sing at the parties. And there's songs that everybody knows, that everybody sings, the Snapsvisor, when they're doing the shots. And for those people that don't know the words, they'll even print out song booklets. So that you can sing along.
Like 10 pages long.
Yeah, I remember my first parties in Sweden, and like, I can't pronounce any of these words, but I got them right here, so I can study.
But it's a really great way to like to start the festivities, because like let's say you start the smorgasbord for midsummer. Everyone takes food, and then when everyone sits down, it's like, all right, let's sing the first song.
Yeah.
And you sing a song, you have the first shot, and then you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great way to start.
My favorite song, the most popular song, Hail on Gore.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it means like drink it all the way, and like for the person that doesn't drink it all the way, they don't even deserve half. That's like part of the lyrics of the song. But then like people will like sing that first. I'm like, wait, are we supposed to chug it?
And I mean the schnapps, it does not taste good. Like it doesn't. It takes a lot of getting used to, and it's really strong.
I'm still not used to it.
It's some of them are like 65%.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
some of them are really strong, and I mean the really happy participants of the smorgasbord, they would be like 4 or 5 deep by like the last plate, and so you're gonna be drunk.
Normally people are drinking other stuff on the side.
Yeah, you definitely have a beer or two, or maybe a glass of wine to it, so it does a job for sure.
When Swedes party, they do party pretty hard, actually.
Yeah. We don't party that often, I would say, but when we do, like people get ridiculously drunk.
It's sort of like the Swedish mentality of like, you do certain things a certain way. Like Swedish people are the only people I know that have like certain foods that they eat on certain days of the week. Yeah. You know, like they all eat like tacos on Fridays. And then you have like a pancake day, right?
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Fish Tuesdays.
Yeah, and Wednesdays was what?
Actually, I didn't have a thing on Wednesdays.
Okay.
We always had something Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is candy day. So
Lördag godis.
Yeah, lördagsgodis. Exactly. Saturday candy.
Yeah.
So basically, that's one of the big contributing factors to why we eat the most candies, because I was prohibited from eating candy like weekdays when I was growing up. And then Saturdays was like, all right, today you're allowed to eat candy. So you eat a shit ton, obviously, because you're allowed to. Like, finally. Exactly. And eating candy in the weekdays, it was like, still, to me, it's sort of frowned upon. Like, don't really do that. But in America, it's like,
that's
candy or we don't.
The same. Like, it's interesting because your attitudes towards candy and booze is sort of similar.
Yeah.
Like, you don't drink booze all the time, just like you don't eat candy all the time. But when it's like time to drink or time to eat candy, you go all out. And that is the Swedish way.
That's a really good comparison. Yeah, booze, the same thing. Like, I don't, like most of my friends, we don't drink like weekdays unless it's like something special, or if you're studying, then that when you're supposed to go a little wild and then you drink weekdays. But me, like I work and like, you know, try to keep track of my life, like rarely drink weekdays, and weekends then and then we like, it's like 10 beers, you know.
It's crazy.
It's interesting. When we do it properly.
True that. All right,
last point?
I got one last one.
Mm-hmm. And I got one more.
And this is something that a lot of times we'll do while we're drinking, definitely in the summertime, parties and stuff. And this is a game I've never seen anywhere else. This is Kub.
Kub, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a lawn game, and we have lawn games in America, of course, like cornhole and lots of different things. But this one is cool. There's like basically a pin in the middle. And,
the king.
Yeah, the king. It's the big pin. And then there's 5 pins on each side. And then you got to throw basically sticks to try to knock these pins down. And the first team, essentially, to knock all the other teams down and then hit the king is the winning team.
Yeah. It's like a nation sport here.
Yeah.
Everyone plays and loves Kub, and that's something that we do obviously in the summer, because in the winter it's just too much snow and people don't do it. But it's a really fun thing to do in the summer. A lot of people do it in the summer, and it's. Do you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. I learned it. I had never seen it in America, and then I think at my first Swedish summer barbecue or whatever, we were playing it, and it's pretty
a pretty fun game. Yeah,
it's sort of like one of these games like beer pong, where if you have a couple of beers in you, you usually play a little better. But then after a certain point, if you've had too much to drink, then your skills just like rapidly decline. So you got to find that like sweet spot.
And it's I would say after like 4 or 5 games of Kub in a night, you're kind of like over it. But with beer pong, like when you're 4 or 5 games deep, you're like, all right, I'm on fire, man. I'm gonna keep doing this.
I love beer pong, man.
Yeah, me too. Let's say you say that after 10,000 hours, you're an expert of something.
Yeah.
Like 3 months into my Texas experience, I was 10,000 hours in for sure.
That was all you were doing, dude. You're waking up, throwing ping pong balls off the wall, back and forth.
They were crazy about beer pong there.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
Americans love that.
Yeah, Kub is fun, and now like I see new versions of Kub coming up.
Yeah.
Like there's this one that all the pins are together, and they're like different sizes. And then you're supposed to. They have a number on them as well.
Okay.
And you're supposed to call like, I'm gonna hit this one.
Yeah.
And if you hit that one, you get that number amount of points. And if you miss or if you hit something else, you get 0 points.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a game I can go up and down a lot. I don't no idea what it's called. It's a fun version of
You know what they should do? You know how like the game Jenga where you like have to pull out blocks and then the tower falls down eventually? Well, they have like Dirty Jenga where you like write like a truth or dare. Like
you would know.
Like they could make a dirty cub, dude. Like we just talked about already how Swedes love to get naked. Like and then like before because
Swedish cub. That's
because there's like 10 pins.
Yeah.
You don't know which ones you're gonna get stuck with, so you like blend them all up, and then you pick 5, and then if the other team knocks over your pin, you have to do whatever it says on the pin. Dude, I just invented a great drinking version of Cub right
Midsummer, here we go.
Dude,
6 months left.
Let's get a copyright for this and sell it next summer, dude. Dirty Cub.
I'm down. Let's do it. I'm down.
Don't steal our idea.
Just watch it grow.
Watch it.
Watch it go. It's gonna hit the market in a year from now. All right, my last point is also a sport, not a game. It's a sport called floorball.
Okay.
Innebandy, eller utebandy. And it's similar to hockey, but the one that I'm talking about, floorball, is usually indoors.
Yeah.
So it's in like an indoor gymnasium or whatever. And there's a smaller field, and goals are smaller, and it's not a puck. It's like a round ball with a lot of holes in it, maybe like this big. And it's a lot faster. Maybe we can like whip like a clip of it. And it's really fun. We played a lot when we grew up, and I remember coming to Texas, and I was like, yeah, like you want to play floorball? No one knew what it was, and I didn't realize that it's very typical for Sweden. Not sure how common. Maybe it's like a Nordic thing.
But they don't wear roller skates.
No. Sorry, yeah, they don't wear.
They just wear tennis shoes.
Well, outdoor bandy is like a little bit different. That's more similar to, that's on ice. Yeah. That's more similar to ice hockey. But what I'm talking about, the one that I'm talking about is indoors.
Yeah. Because we would play like indoor hockey in PE when I was little, but we didn't call it floorball. Yeah. And it wasn't with a round ball either. It was like a plastic hockey puck.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that would be similar.
Yeah.
But the sticks are different too. The sticks are a bit smaller. There's like towards the end there's like a lot of holes in it, so you can hit harder.
Yeah.
And the ball allows it to be a little bit faster. And the people are really good at it. It's really cool to watch actually. Yeah. Because like one attack could be like in 3-4 seconds, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. Yeah. And it just goes really fast. Yeah, but I mean, if you get a chance, if you're ever around here, play it. It's fun. Yeah. It's a really fun sport.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've made it through our list.
Yeah.
So,
it's a pretty good list.
Yeah. It's a pretty good first episode, I think.
It's a pretty good combo.
Yeah.
And please let us know in the comments if we're wrong. No, don't tell us that.
We did our best.
Yeah, we're probably wrong. We're not experts in any of this, but I think that's so interesting about this pod as well, because most of it's just going to be answers based upon our experiences from living in each other's countries and just, from hanging around,
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and subscribe. That really helps us out. It makes us realize that there are people that want to see more of this type of content. More of this type of content. We would really, really appreciate that.
Definitely.
We're very, very excited for this project, and we'll see where it goes.
Nice wrap up.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you guys next time.